Have you ever heard a sound that made the hair on your arm stand up? A noise so unsettling it stays with you long after it's gone? Now imagine hearing that sound coming from a place where nothing is supposed to live. Okay, placed 2 miles beneath the crushing, frozen ice of Antarctica. This isn't a campfire story. This is a documented event that has baffled scientists and fueled nightmares for decades. The story begins in 1997, a year when the world was focused on cloning sheep and exploring Mars. But in the most remote, desolate continent on Earth, a team of researchers was conducting a deep ice acoustic study. Their goal was simple: lower a highly sensitive hydrophone, essentially an underwater microphone, deep beneath the massive Antarctic ice shelf to listen to the sounds of the planet. They expected to hear the groans and cracks of shifting glaciers, the deep rumble of ocean currents, or maybe the distant calls of whales. What they recorded instead was something they could never have prepared for. It started as a faint, distant noise on their equipment. They boosted the signal, cleaned up the static, and listened again. A shiver ran through the research station. It wasn't the sound of ice. It wasn't the sound of water. It was a voice. A wail. A sharp, piercing sound that sounded terrifyingly human. It was a scream. It's not just a quick burst of noise, but a sustained, desperate cry that echoed from the crushing darkness beneath 2 miles of solid ice. A place where the pressure is over 300 times that of the surface, and the temperature is permanently below freezing. A place where no human could possibly survive. The team played it back, again and again. The sound was unmistakable. It rose in pitch, held for a few agonizing seconds, paused as if taking a breath, and then shrieked again. It sounded like someone calling for help, trapped in an icy tomb. That night, nobody in the research station slept. The recording played on a loop in their minds. How could this be? They ran every possible check. Could it be an equipment malfunction? All systems were green. Could it be a known animal? They cross-referenced the sound with every known marine mammal, from the deepest diving seals to the most elusive whales. There was no match. The sound was too high-pitched, too articulate. Some of the more skeptical scientists proposed geological explanations. Perhaps it was a trapped pocket of air violently escaping from the ice. Or maybe it was the sound of tectonic plates grinding against each other deep beneath the continent. These were logical scientific theories, but they didn't quite fit. The sound wasn't a random geological groan. It had a pattern, a cadence. It sounded like a living thing in distress. This is where the story takes a darker turn, into details that were reportedly suppressed for years. The team performed a spectral analysis on the recording, breaking the sound down into its core frequencies. What they discovered was the detail that turned this from a scientific anomaly into a full-blown horror story. The scream contained complex frequency patterns and harmonic structures that are uniquely characteristic of the human vocal tract. The way our throats, mouths, and lungs work together produces a signature that is distinct from any other creature on Earth. The sound from beneath the ice had that signature. No geological process could explain it. No animal could replicate it. The data was clear. The scream was, for all intents and purposes, human. The official report was sanitized. The event was logged, archived, and classified as an unexplained polar acoustic phenomenon. The raw audio was locked away. But in a small, isolated research station in the middle of nowhere, whispers started to spread. The atmosphere in the camp grew heavy with paranoia and fear. The researchers who had heard the scream firsthand became withdrawn, haunted. They had come to Antarctica to study ice, but they had stumbled upon something that defied all logic. The theories they discussed in hushed tones were far from scientific. Some speculated it was the echo of a lost soul, a member of a forgotten expedition from a century ago, their final moments forever imprinted in the ice. Scott Shackleton. So many had been lost to this unforgiving land. Could their agony still be crying out? Others whispered of something far more ancient. Antarctica wasn't always a frozen wasteland. Millions of years ago, it was a lush continent with forests and life. What if something from that time had been flash-frozen, preserved in a state of suspended animation, and was now somehow conscious? A prisoner in the ice, aware and screaming into an eternity of cold and darkness? The psychological toll on the team was immense. The isolation of Antarctica is hard enough, but being isolated with a terrifying, unexplainable secret is another level of pressure. A few of the researchers allegedly quit the project and demanded to be sent home. They couldn't stand the oppressive silence of the ice, which now felt like it was listening. They claimed they felt watched whenever they were near the deep ice core drilling sites. One story, an unconfirmed rumor that leaked from the station, is particularly chilling. A junior researcher, tasked with monitoring equipment late one night, reportedly ran back to the main hab, pale and shaking. He swore he saw something. He was working near a deep borehole tunnel, a shaft that went thousands of feet down. In the reflection of his headlamp on the tunnel's icy wall, he claimed he saw a face, pressed against the inside of the ice, its mouth wide open, its eyes staring out with a look of silent, unending terror, as if it was the source of the scream trapped just behind that frozen barrier. Of course, this was dismissed as a hallucination brought on by stress and isolation. But for the people there, it felt terrifyingly real. For years, the story of the Antarctic Scream was just a ghost story for polar explorers, a piece of folklore. But then, in the age of the internet, a piece of audio claiming to be the original recording surfaced online. The leak was untraceable, its authenticity impossible to verify. But people listened, and the reactions were visceral. Listeners from all over the world described a profound sense of unease. Some said the sound filled them with an inexplicable sadness, like hearing a person drowning in an abyss of total darkness. Others reported more disturbing effects. They claimed that after listening to the clip, they started hearing strange noises in their own homes. Faint knocking sounds from inside their walls at night, whispers that seemed to come from empty rooms. It was as if the scream once heard could somehow follow you. To this day, the scientific community officially denies the more sensational aspects of this story. The official explanation remains that it was likely a novel geological or cryoacoustic event, the ice itself making a strange new noise. They maintain that the human-like qualities are a form of auditive pareidolia. Our brain's tendency to find patterns, like faces in clouds or voices in static. They say there is no monster, no ghost, no ancient being trapped in the ice, but the sound exists. The recording is out there. And the continent of Antarctica remains the most mysterious place on our planet. It's a landmass larger than the United States, yet we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about what lies beneath its frozen shell. We drill into it, we listen to it, but we don't truly know the secrets it holds. So what do you think? Was it a bizarre natural phenomenon, the ice singing a strange and terrible song? Or did those researchers in 1997 accidentally eavesdrop on something that should have remained buried forever? A voice from a lost world or a warning from the deep? The truth, like the source of the scream, is still locked away under miles of ice. It serves as a chilling reminder that there are still corners of our own world that are completely alien to us. Places where the rules of our known reality might not apply. The scream under Antarctica might still be echoing in that crushing blackness, waiting for the next person to lower a microphone and listen. Thanks for journeying into this mystery with me. If you enjoy exploring the unknown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that the world might not be ready to face. Stay curious, and maybe think twice before listening to strange sounds from the dark.